Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee. In this show, we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Hope you are ready for the weekend because it is upon us. It is another rainy day here in Austin, Texas. I tell you what, I know we need the rain. It's been dry. The rain is good. I get it. But for a guy who loves to exercise outside, it's a little too much for me. I haven't been able to go exercise all this week because it's been wet and rainy, and I just wanted to stop. So hopefully next week it'll be a little drier and I can continue my training exercises to become a vigilante. But for now, I got some stories to run through, guys. A couple of good ones came out this week. I'm going to do some housekeeping stuff, and then we're going to get into the meat of it. So, first off, it was announced yesterday that the DC Universe series Swamp Thing has found its female lead. Crystal Reed, who is best known for shows such as Gotham and Teen Wolf, has been cast as Abigail Arcane for the DC horror series. Now, Abby was first created back in 1973 as the niece to the main villain, Anton Arcane, in the Swamp Thing series. Now, Crystal is the first to be cast. We still have Anton, Matt Cable, and of course, Alec Holland himself, Swamp Thing, to be cast. But we know that Len Wiseman is also going to be directing the first episode. So it's slowly coming together. The show won't premiere till next year on the DC streaming service. They're starting off, of course, with Titans. We're getting Young Justice Outsiders, Harley Quinn, and Doom Patrol, which, by the way, they've got another casting announcement for Doom Patrol. Timothy Dalton, the ex-Bond actor himself, has been cast in a key role in the series. I tell you what, I said before, I'm not a big Doom Patrol guy, but the casting coming with this show is looking pretty good, actually. I mean, just the cast alone makes me intrigued to watch this series. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what other casting news comes with the Swamp Thing series. And of course, Doom Patrol as well. And next week is when the DC streaming service actually kicks off. We're not going to get Titans until next month, but if you've already signed up for the service, it's going to be activated, I believe, the 14th or 16th, sometime next weekend. And people are going to be able to, watch through the Justice League series and Lois and Clark and all a bunch of DC movies. I'm looking forward to checking that out next weekend. Hopefully you guys are too. But this weekend, you can head on over to Netflix, and Iron Fist Season 2 has just dropped this morning. I just watched the first episode, and reviews came out a couple days ago saying that it's better than Season 1, but still not great. After watching episode 1, so far that assessment I think is pretty accurate. There was a really good action sequence in a restaurant that probably was the highlight of the episode. The characters for me are kind of what's lacking a little bit. I don't really care a lot about them. They're not very likable, I guess, in my opinion, and that, is a disconnect for me in the series. So I'm going to continue watching it. Of course, since it's raining outside, I might watch a few more episodes today and then continue on through the weekend. I plan on being done by Monday night, so that way on Tuesday I can give you my full assessment of Season 2 of Iron Fist. So you go on to Netflix, check it out, let me know what you think, and we'll talk about it on Tuesday. Okay, and now to the meat of today's news. So Tuesday night, Brie Larson, who is going to be playing Captain Marvel in the upcoming Marvel Studios film, was on Twitter, and she put out a little something saying, "Hey AU," which is Entertainment Weekly, "I'm bored. Want to break the internet tomorrow?" And Entertainment Weekly replied, "Yes, meet us here at noon Eastern Standard Time. We've got something marvelous in mind." And Brie Larson replied, "It's a date." So that got people a lot of excitement going on. And the following day on Wednesday, Entertainment Weekly released the cover for their next issue, which features Captain Marvel on the front page, as well as pictures and interviews about the film. It's pretty freaking cool. So let's go through it here real quick, guys. Now, for those of you who don't know, we got teased Captain Marvel at the end of Infinity War, the post-credits scene with Nick Fury. Just as he was about to be dusted, he sent out the call, and the symbol for Captain Marvel showed up. So we know that she's coming. Now, this film, which comes out in March, takes place in the 90s. Okay, we're going back in time, and we're probably going to get all about Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, and who she is before she pops up in Avengers 4, allegedly to save the day. Now, Kevin Feige has come out and said that Marvel is the most powerful being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm going to be interested to see how she goes up against, someone like, say, Thanos, obviously, Hulk, all those strong guys, and Thor. See how she matches up. I'm not worried about the role because of the fact that they have such a strong actress doing this. I'm not worried about the character. I'm not a huge Captain Marvel fan, but, giving someone of her caliber of talent is great. Marvel Studios has always been great about getting good talent to go with their films, and this is no exception. The directors, it's a dual directing job. It's Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. Now, again, not too familiar with either of them. Maybe Marvel Studios has seen the success of dual directors with the Russo brothers and believes that that is a good formula. Can't say, yay or nay against it. We'll just have to wait and see. So you got the cover of Entertainment Weekly. And to be honest, I'm not too impressed with the cover. It's very photoshopped. It's very fake, in my opinion. So, it's cool to see her on the cover, but at the same time, But there is a picture inside where you actually see her in her full outfit, the blue, the red, the yellow, and it looks awesome. There were those pictures that came out several months ago of her in her green Kree outfit, and people criticized it. Guys, those leaked photos that you get from like paparazzi or whatever, it's not the final product, okay? It's, I believe is what they said, was actually a test fitting, so it wasn't even the final outfit for her. I never believe, never get involved in those kind of things because it's not what the studio wants you to see. It's not what you're going to see, so you can just forget all about that. And then we have another picture here where she's actually with a group of people we know as the Star Force, which is a group in the Kree Empire that is pretty much like, Navy SEALs or their elite warriors. Now, it's said this isn't going to be traditional origin story per se. When we start the film, Carol's already going to be having her powers and part of the Star Force, part of the Kree Empire. And if you look, you'll notice a couple of familiar faces. First off, you have Korath, played by Djimon Hounsou, which I know I always butcher his name because I'm horrible at pronouncing names. This one is extra hard to pronounce. But this guy was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was an associate of Ronan's. And if you notice, Ronan's back in this as well, played by Lee Pace. But in Guardians, he was kind of outside of the Kree Empire. In this one, he is actually working with Star Force, part of the Kree. And I think because of that, we're going to get a very different Ronan than what we got in Guardians. In Guardians, he was very upset about the Kree Empire and what had occurred. I think in this one, he's going to be very loyal, very subservient to Star Force and the Kree. And perhaps in this film, we're going to see why he was turned into an outcast by the Kree. Maybe something he does in this film turns him bitter and against the Kree. But it's going to be interesting, again, to see the character before we actually met him in Guardians, as well as Korath, his associate, and just see how this whole unit works as a whole. Now, training Carol is Mar-Vell, aka played by Jude Law, and it's going to be kind of a teacher-student mentality from what we get. Now, in the comics, Mar-Vell is an associate of Carol's who is on Earth, and he saves her life, and in doing so gives her the powers that she acquires: flight, strength, beams coming out of her hands, all that stuff. So I'm curious to see how that relationship develops. I'm almost thinking it's going to be one of those, teacher-student things where eventually the teacher turns against the student and she's going to have to take down Marvel. I don't think that happens in the comics, but it's something that could be interesting for the film. A lot of these, Marvel films, they take notes from the comics and then just make them fit how they need to in the movies, which is great because if you do read the comics, you have an idea of what the storyline is going to be, such as Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War. We know these comics, we've read them, we have an idea of what it's going to be about, but Kevin Feige and his team always adds that twist that keeps us on our toes. Obviously, I was just as surprised as the result of Infinity War as anyone else, and it's always good to, experience that along with the rest of the audience who doesn't know that much about the Marvel Universe. Now, one thing I am super excited about, too, is the Skrulls. That's right, the shape-shifting aliens are going to be in this one, thinking we might get a taste of the Kree-Skrull War, possibly. Ben Mendelsohn, guy who, makes a name for being a bad guy in films such as Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and Ready Player One, he's playing the head Skrull, Talos. And looks like then there's this picture here where they're on the beach. I'm assuming they're coming to Earth. And then another picture where he's actually shape-shifted into a human. And it says that he's working within S.H.I.E.L.D., which is never a good thing. The Skrulls, aside from the Kree-Skrull War, their most famous storyline is Secret Invasion, where they came and infiltrated superheroes in the Marvel Universe, and it led to this whole big showdown. Whether we're going to see something along those lines or something similar to it, whether it be in this film or down the road, I think it'd be interesting. Another nice picture we get is Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury, de-aged and having both of his eyes. Now, according to the story, Nick is a lowly S.H.I.E.L.D. desk jockey in this one yet. And, obviously younger. It's set in the 90s. So maybe within this story, too, we see the rise of Nick Fury. It's kind of my theory that within this story, because it takes place in the 90s, almost, 15 years plus before he shows up at Tony Stark's place to tell him about the Avengers Initiative, I think this whole storyline is really what really sets Nick Fury up or gives him the idea to start the Avengers Initiative, that the world is going to need a special group of individuals that are going to have to protect the world from the next coming alien invasion after the Skrulls. That's my theory, at least. But a lot of good pictures, a lot of good stuff. I love the way Larson looks in the costume. I love the pictures I'm seeing. I'm excited for this film. Guys, again, not a big Captain Marvel fan, but it's the precursor to Avengers 4. We get Captain Marvel, Avengers 4, and then Spider-Man, Far From Home. Those are the three Marvel movies we're getting next year. And after the events of Infinity War, I think we're all chomping at the bit to see what Captain Marvel can give us that's going to fill in some of the holes or give us some more idea of what Avengers 4 is going to be all about. But super excited, guys. Hopefully I get to read this thing this week or next week and go through the full details of what Entertainment Weekly is going to give us. Now, also, usually when they do this stuff, usually a trailer is not far behind. We're about 6 months away from the film coming out, so I can definitely see within the next couple weeks a trailer. And New York Comic Con is coming out next month. I mean, at the beginning of next month, and Marvel's going to be there. I wouldn't be surprised. They already said they're bringing Netflix's Daredevil season 3. I wouldn't be surprised around that time we're going to get a Captain Marvel trailer. It's around that time where they should drop a teaser trailer. We got pictures out. But you guys go back, fire back on the Facebook group, Twitter account, Gmail account. Let me know what you think of the Entertainment Weekly article and pictures. Do you think it looks cool? Are you excited about it? Okay, guys, last story of the day. So it has been reported that Henry Cavill, Superman himself, has been cast in the title role of Netflix's adaptation of The Witcher. Now, the series is based on 8 fantasy novels and short story collections, and The Witcher centers around Geralt, I don't know if I pronounced that name right, one of the group of monster hunters known as Witchers who develop supernatural abilities to battle deadly creatures. Now, there is the video game series that's based on the books as well, and it's said that Cavill is a big fan, actually, of the video game and the books. When interviewed, he said, "Have you read the books? The books are amazing," he said. "The books I started reading, and they are well worth a read. They're really, really good." The Witcher is expected to arrive on Netflix sometime in 2019. And really, for me, there are two separate things we can take from this story, none of which actually has to do with The Witcher. I've never read the books before. I'm not familiar with it at all. I imagine it's some kind of fantasy world, kind of like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. And really, that's what it comes down to, is every station, series, streaming service wants their Game of Thrones, okay? I mean, when it hit it big with HBO, they made so much money off it, and everyone's looking for their Game of Thrones. You got series such as like Vikings, Black Sails, Reign, all these shows that are trying to have that Game of Thrones feel and not quite getting there, in my opinion. Amazon is trying to develop a Lord of the Rings series, which I think is kind of their answer to it, and Netflix has this Witcher series coming out, which I believe is going to try to be their Game of Thrones. Now, from what little I know about it, you know, it's got a good story, but again, it's all about the execution. Game of Thrones, I think, works best because the characters are so great. You got to have the good characters with the good story, and Henry Cavill is definitely talent, so having him lead this series, I think, is great. He's, you know, a good Superman, despite how I feel about Man of Steel and maybe the rest of the DC cinematic universe. I think Henry Cavill is a great talent. I loved him in Man from U.N.C.L.E. I haven't seen the next Mission Impossible movie yet, mainly because I'm not a big Mission Impossible fan, but when it comes to DVD and Blu-ray, I'll be sure to check it out, and I'm sure he's great in it. Now, the other half of this that I want to talk about is kind of something people have been talking about when this story came out, is if Cavill is doing this series, which is only going to be about 8 episodes, so it's not a big deal, what does it say about his future in the DC cinematic universe, such as his role for Superman? People want a Man of Steel 2, especially after how well the character was responded to in Justice League. For me personally, I felt like Justice League, despite the film itself, gave us the Superman that is the real Superman, in my opinion. And Cavill, like I said, despite how I feel about the DC films, I like Cavill as Clark Kent / Superman, and I want to see more of it. Look, Warner Brothers, if you don't have an idea, just call me up. I got like 3 different ways you can go with a Man of Steel 2 to complete the trilogy, okay? Call me up. I got plenty of ideas. You know the number. But if Cavill is doing this, I have a feeling that he's not likely to do another DC movie for a while. Now, next year we have Shazam, Wonder Woman 1984, and then this year we have Aquaman coming out. So there's 3 films on the slate. And over at Warner Brothers, they have a little bit of a leadership change with Walter Hamada now running the show, and I can see after kind of, I want to say, disaster that the phase 1 of the DC films was, that ended in Justice League, how he might want to take a step back and regroup. Shazam looks good. Wonder Woman 1984 I think is in good hands with Patty Jenkins again, and Aquaman, you know, I want to be good. The trailer looked decent. I'm hoping it's good. But here's my worry now in regards to the DC cinematic universe is you take a step back and you have Aquaman, Shazam, and Wonder Woman. Great. They all come out within a year. Your last film to come out, though, was Justice League. So from Justice League to Aquaman is a year. Okay, in that time, Marvel Studios has put out 3 movies, where Marvel itself has put out more than that if you include the X-Men franchise and the Sony Venom stuff. If they wait till even after Aquaman to actually start production on another film within this cinematic universe, it's going to be another 2 years after their last film, Wonder Woman 1984, before it comes out. Now, I know they have the Joaquin Phoenix Joker film in production, but it's not in that cinematic universe. I'm sure they have ideas of what they want to do, but the problem with Warner Bros. Is they've been so gun shy about their properties except for Batman. And that in return has caused them to change films in the middle, such as Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, even Justice League. And that where their problem lies. Kevin Feige has confidence in everything he does, and while it may not turn out great, he sticks to his guns and sticks to what he believes is good. And so far, it hasn't all been great, but it's consistent. Warner Brothers, I've said this many times, needs to grow some balls, okay? If you have good stories that you think be good, whether it be Man of Steel 2, Batman, whatever, you need to start those going right now. There needs to be scripts written. There needs to be storyboards drawn up to where you're getting stuff moving. Because if you wait till Aquaman is or isn't a hit, if you wait till Shazam or Wonder Woman comes out, you're going to fall further behind. The way Walter Hamada is thinking, I get it. But while these movies are coming out, you need to have your next 3 or 4 films ready to go when Aquaman comes out. They're always one step behind the ball, and they need to fix that. Not having a Man of Steel 2 is a mistake. Not having a Batman film already going, and I know there's been drama with Ben Affleck and Matt Reeves, but that's a mistake. Having Green Lantern in production or Jeff Johns writing that, working on that, is great. Flash, a lot of drama there. There's so much drama with all these Warner Brothers DC films, okay? You need to get your house in order, and I get it. You want to not do another flop, so you want to hold off, make sure you got something good, okay? You have the characters. You have the talent. Do something with it before it's too late. And there are my 2 cents. But time for you guys to fire back and let me know what you think. And that's what's going to be the poll for today, guys. Okay? With Henry Cavill on The Witcher, there's very much question about not only his role in the DC cinematic universe, but also, for me, more questions about the DC cinematic universe in whole. So, after Wonder Woman 1984, what do you think will be the next film we will see? Or what are they prepared to give us after that in the cinematic universe? Is it going to be Flash, Green Lantern Corps, Man of Steel 2, The Batman, Justice League 2, Suicide Squad 2? That's it. I'm going to put that poll up on the Facebook group. You guys go and vote and let me know. And that's going to be it for today and for the week, guys. Go out, enjoy the weekend, watch some Iron Fist Season 2. We can come back next week and chat about it. And that's it. That's all I got, guys. So until next time, may the Force be with us all.